How do we feel, gentlemen?
Oh, best day of our lives.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. You think macro, not micro. Just relax. It's an 82-game season. It's game 82.
We did it.
Here we are.
Or is it, do we have to see what happens tonight to must win?
I feel like this doesn't have a must-win feel to
Biggest
it.
game of the year?
Have we looked? Is there any possible? Can they move up or down a draft slot?
Yes, they
potentially.
can.
Well, okay.
I saw last night they can draft as high as 14th and as low as 16th. So there's a little wiggle room. It is a good draft class. But it's not like, that year they were playing games while the playoffs were on and they kept rolling out their number one, not Louis fucking Domingue, and, dropped to 13. Which, interestingly, is the spot they drafted Matthew Coronado, who'll make his NHL debut tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, there it is. Yeah, there's the standings. You know what? So, too, for the Sharks, apparently. They are also out of the playoff picture. Not a lot on the line for them either tonight.
So, very much exhibitionist.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you an exhibitionist?
I can be.
Yeah.
Have you been?
Have been.
On occasion.
Might be again.
Do you have a particular go-to exhibitionist move?
Is that or are you more of a voyeur?
I feel like there's a lot of those Venn diagram's a lot a lot there.
It is, eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, good to know.
Some other words I'm not sure, and I don't know if I can say on the show.
It's the internet. Probably saying just about anything. Hey, welcome to the show. It's Barn Burner, a presentation of Boomer, Pinder, and Warner.
That what it is?
That's right.
Okay.
We put our heart and soul into it every single day. We're here in the Tower Chrysler studios. And I grabbed a photo. I saw it on the old Soch yesterday. I was like, isn't that nice?
Soch.
I keep telling you about the people at Tower. Now they are the Consumer Choice Award winner, voted Calgary's favorite Chrysler Dodge dealer.
Talking about the champs.
And they do good things for good people. They were a big part of our Christmas campaign. They come back, and in the month of February, it was clothing to the mustard seed. And this month, or at least the last 6 weeks, they have been collecting food for the food bank in support of the Owen Hart Foundation. Look at that there. That was yesterday. Took the vehicles, filled them up. That's a lot of grub right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is a lot of grub.
It's a full couple Jeeps, if I can see properly there.
So, and obviously, kudos to everybody who brought their non-perishables and that by Tower. But awesome.
Good work, Nikki.
Nikki and the staff going to take that over to the food bank and help out people. And then Nikki will be like, now what are we doing? Now what? She's never.
There's a different thing to help people.
Yeah. Never satisfied.
Just like us.
Rest on your laurels. We wouldn't do that.
Nope. I don't even have laurels to rest on.
We're reaching for the stars out here.
Yep, I got nothing.
Rhett, new ideas today, every day. It's a fresh batch.
What was your idea today?
What'd you have today?
Well, yesterday was a good one. He was telling you to move to the other side of the world and open a franchise.
Yeah, you wanted
a franchise.
You said I should move to Australia and open oil change.
Oil
change drive-thrus or something.
This was our secret.
I know.
Drop it. Like,
yeah.
Jack, can we delete that?
Spoiler.
Take this off the podcast.
You could have just said move to Australia.
Well, we're gonna move.
You could
to
go
Australia,
down under.
Well, I know that.
I think you're a Southern Hemisphere type of fella.
Am
Ooh.
I believe it would be good for you. The stars, lots of stars.
Different constellations might set you up. Maybe you're upside down. That's why everything feels so backwards to you.
How's the humidity?
Is he glass half full?
He's great. Yes.
Is he glass half full upside down? The toilet flushes the other way.
Going the other way.
And the glass would be half up instead of half empty?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, all right. Sounds fine. Well, the NHL's going. I saw that yesterday.
Exactly.
Maybe they stole your idea.
I immediately texted our boy, and I'm like, you got to send us a video about this.
Yeah, we need to know.
NHL and Australia. Listen, you cunts, get out and enjoy some sun.
How did the locals feel about the ice hockey coming to
So there is a
Melbourne?
league over there. I believe it's called the AIHL, the Australian Ice Hockey League. And it's usually just a bunch of guys that got spat out of the East Coast League or are done playing college and just want to go surf and make like $400 a week. But they love violent physical sports.
I'm shocked it's not bigger because they do love violent physical sports. I
would think going inside to a room that's -5 to -10 isn't really the move there, but I agree with you.
I think it would be
when
the
you
move
show
there.
Aussies hockey, like my wife's Australian, so I get the relatives. They're like, this sport is the best.
Yes.
It's like rugby on ice and you're allowed to fight,
Yeah.
like with bare fists.
What's this punching each other thing? Let's do it.
Like, we're all about this. The only thing they're trying to do is like, can we take the sleeves off? It's like, no. You need the sleeves. You can't get cut.
Take them off.
Not enough mullets. Okay, well, there used to be more.
Well, you got very excited and you jumped out in front to get your tidbit out there about Matthew Coronado. You couldn't wait. You had to get it out there.
It was a segue.
But it's what does the game mean tonight? Practically nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially some draft order, but outside of that, not a lot. However, don't tell Matt Coronado that,
right?
And don't tell Dustin Wolf that.
Fair.
Tonight's a very special night for these two gentlemen. Whereas Dustin Wolf, you see there, his stats, a sparkling 41, 9, and 2 at the American Hockey League level, will make his NHL debut tonight.
He was goaltender of the year in the American League last year as a rookie, which is pretty rare. He was goaltender of the year his last 2 years in the Western League. And I'm seeing people that cover the American League suggesting he is the favorite to win the MVP of the American Hockey League this season. He's been sensational.
7 shutouts, 2.08 goals against, 932 save percentage. Dynamite.
32 save percentages.
Tidy. Very tidy. Yeah, the best goalie outside the NHL, probably him.
7th round pick in 2019.
And if he was 6'2", what round would he go in?
And isn't it crazy to think it doesn't feel, I don't know, does it feel like this is something that's finally happened? Is this the right time? I don't know where does he feel young? Does he feel like this? No, this is the right trajectory, the right timeline for him.
What's interesting is he was the same draft class as, if I'm correct, as his Team USA teammate in Florida, Spencer Knight, who went top half of the first round to Florida. That same offseason, they signed Bobrovsky, which seems like ages ago. And Knight's been up for a while, and Knight has shown, the skill. Oh, wow, he can be really good. He can stay a game. Knight's away from the team, dealing with issues. And Wolf, who had almost the same numbers in all the same leagues and all the same tournaments, but just wasn't 6'3", 6'4", has had the long and slow Cook development route. I'm not here to say he's better, but I mean, the season he's had is phenomenal, whereas I think there's probably some questions starting to rise about where Spencer Knight's at because he's not even with the team. And
he's 6'2".
And so one guy went top 15 and the other guy went last 5 picks in the draft. It's wild, isn't it?
Quit bringing it up. No one cares who's tall or not.
Well, I don't. I'm just saying the scouts did, clearly. And there's still, a bias there.
There should be. You're bigger, you take up more net.
Yeah, no, I get it. Is it a gap of
but you're making it sound like you have to be 6'2" to play.
He's been said he's too small to play. He'll be too small for the White. He'll be too small in the A. He'll be too small.
Well, he might be too small. We'll figure it out, but I think this is the perfect path. I'm glad
I'm glad
he's 6 feet and went in the 7th round.
I love that he hasn't been rushed the whole way. And I think his attitude about it's been really good. It doesn't feel like a guy who feels like he's getting screwed. And he's, just dialed on the one league he's at. Best goalie in it, 4 years in a row now. It's wild. There's not been a better goalie than him in his last 4 years in his life in the league he's played in.
Spencer Knight should have went to the minors for 4 years.
Right.
The hell's he thinking, Dean?
That's what happened to you. You came up too soon.
Too soon.
Didn't develop enough.
Too soon. No, I felt like there was some meat in the bone there. I thought you guys were going to go for a little bit.
No, I mean there are very few short goaltenders that are elite. We saw one the other night in UC Saros. He's very similar in stature, and it's a good thing to see a guy like Saros succeed because it reminds you that it can happen. It is the outlier, to Rhett's point. There's not 15 6-foot goalies that are getting screwed by the league that aren't in there. But it's nice to see a guy excel and be up for the Vezina last year in Saros that is of a similar stature. He's
just
great.
Be that guy, please. Yeah. We move in, work with Markstrom. Markstrom leaves. Just let's have a decade.
We said it off air this morning because our boy Jack here is a Penguins fan. He said, "Man, the goaltending's been tough this year in Pittsburgh." And it's like, isn't it a really, really tough league when you don't get saves? And maybe it's not Wolf, maybe it's somebody else. But
Wolf,
if they're going to get more saves next year, boy, that's going to make up a gap. And there isn't much of a gap.
If they'll rely on Wolf to make all.
No, but
saves.
If he's part of a platoon, or if he allows them to get out from some salary owed to a guy like Vladar via trade,
just as a question, any concern that if he's not the top guy, that there's a falter?
That's a good question. I don't think he's played less than all the games in his life.
Heavily relied.
But it's also, there hasn't been a situation where he hasn't excelled either. So concern to be too strong. I'm definitely curious.
Like,
I think for Markstrom,
honestly, like if he,
like you think about the best season Markstrom's had in his career, it was last year with the Flames, and it was his last year or second to last year in Vancouver. The one in Vancouver, Demko was coming, and they knew Demko was real good, and they didn't have to play the brakes off him, which hasn't been an issue for him down the stretch this year for Markstrom. But I could see you get both of these guys going next year if Vladar's the guy that goes out. But I feel like you have to make room for Wolf now. He can't do better than he's doing in this league. He's ready to
but
graduate.
Is there a benefit to allowing him just to continue to play? If you're not going to hand him my point is, if he's there and you're not handing him the reins, even though if he's ready, I feel like give him the reins. Do it.
I would love to see them come into camp, and I don't know who's coaching, and that'll play a big role because you know how Darryl loves his 1 and his 2. He's not into platoons. He's not into 1A, 1B. But if there's a philosophy in place that we're seeing around most of the league now, like look at Ullmark and Swayman in Boston. They're going to win the Jennings, and I think one guy's going to win the Vezina. And it's like, yeah, you're going to get 50, you're going to get 30. It's almost every other, you just alternate. And then guys don't have to worry about getting too run down.
I would want from my perspective is for if he comes in and he's playing well, that it's a true whoever plays better plays.
I was going to say, what if he comes in and he's the best goalie?
Yeah, and that's my point is that I don't want him to play 20 games if he's capable of playing more.
Then you're not going to like him with this coach. Right? I think that's
why is that?
Because I think Darryl
it allows you to trade Markstrom.
Yeah, but Darryl also loves number ones that are legit number ones. If Wolf is good, Darryl, what coach isn't going to love a guy regardless of age if he's the best goaltender out of the 3?
Oh, for sure. I just think that there's other guys that would be quicker to allow him to win that job than Darryl. That's all. Like if he comes in once every 10 days and wins,
but
it's going to take longer for him to allow to prove he's.
I don't know if that leads into goaltending.
Yeah,
did you see Markstrom this year when he struggled for like all of December and it took a long ass time before they finally gave Vladar back-to-back starts?
I don't think that was because of age, though.
Well, it's proven. I mean, we in his mind, it's have you proven yourself at this level? Like when Vladar.
But it's very easy to prove yourself, I think, as a goaltender when you play a game. You play well.
Do you remember when it was a month between starts last season for Vladar? And you're like,
but Markstrom was tremendous last season.
Right. And it was like you're on a back-to-back ahead of the All-Star break, 2 games and 2 nights on the road. And using Markstrom.
It's because Markstrom was playing well.
And so was Vladar. He was great last year at that time. Anyway, I just think if I'm going to get out to dry suggesting that Darryl slightly prefers vets to rookies, like nail me to the wall. I think it's going to be harder to win over this coach than most others. That's all.
I'm done with the sacrifice of Darryl Sutter, though. Like we can be critical of him, like to hang everything on the franchise. It feels like that's the word in the street, and that's just the only way to answer things is Darryl Sutter. He's an idiot. Shoot him to the moon. I have been critical of him. We all have. It's a rightfully so situation. But to hang every aspect of what could and may go wrong on Darryl Sutter is bullshit.
Of course. Yeah. And we said it the other day. There's lots of blood on a lot of people's hands. The owner, the GM, the coach.
But we're talking about
group,
Dustin Wolf won't be any good because of Darryl Sutter.
No, that's overstating it. I think there might be a better opportunity for him if there's a different coach. That's all I'm saying. Like if Mitch Love's coaching this team next year, do you think he needs to be won over like Darryl does?
But do you think Darryl's ready to be won over by a goalie after this season?
Could be, yeah.
Please come in and play well for me.
And to be fair, like to your point, if it's clear Wolf's their best guy in camp.
And that's what we're saying in this scenario. Yeah. If Wolf comes in and is clearly the best guy, he's now 21 turning 22. He's not, it's not like you're rushing him. He's cooked. He's been at the AHL level. He's played big, high leverage. Like he's done all of it by now. He's going to have a playoff run here.
I could still see Darryl saying, "Oh, it's game 1. Markstrom goes." Right? Like it's
sure.
But you want him to be the one down the road, no question. How long does it take? We haven't seen him play a game in this league. How does he perform at this level?
I think that's the most important point is to say, okay, come in. The door's open. Not the door's open, Markstrom.
See, it would be a different situation for me. How would it go up if Markstrom was really good this year? And then you have this kid who's really good.
Yeah.
Should he be playing? Maybe he's good enough to play, but you also have Markstrom who's very good. I don't know.
What have you seen the last 24 games from Markstrom where he's played in 23 of them? Looks more like himself, right?
Yeah.
But that becomes the issue, right? Is that we're playing the if Wolf looks good enough to be a number one scenario, what do you do with your goaltending?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a friendly, are they playing splitsies? I don't think either one of them wants to do that. I mean, Wolf would take that over an AHL assignment.
Again, but I thought Markstrom was great with him
capped?
and Demko.
Does he have a no trade, Markstrom?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like,
are you in a cap situation where if you get a vibe or you think Wolf is the answer and can handle it in a tandem with a Vladar or something like that, are you in a situation where you can maximize a return on Markstrom?
I was going to ask you. I was going to get you put your GM hat on because we've had this kind of conversation with other veterans or whatever. If Wolf looks, if everything just continues the same, and who knows what kind of playoff run. God, if he goes on a hell of a run here, then it's even more so. But I don't know. Is there a Markstrom trade that could be made in the offseason? Are you kind of clenching a little bit and rolling the dice if that's the case? Do you have enough faith in Vladar that if Wolf isn't ready, that he can handle the load?
Markstrom has 3 years left at $6 million. He has a no move, and I'm very much not sure what the market would bear for him. Are people believing that sample at the end of the season post childbirth? Are people more concerned about the 4 months that he looked fucking awful?
I think you'll find a team in the playoffs that goes,
we need a goalie.
We need a goalie.
And maybe you have to eat $1 million or $2 million, but you can get more in a return. If you get rid of Markstrom, you're opening up a lot of cap space, and this team's already over the cap. Now, Vladar makes 2 3/4 next year on a 2-year deal, and that's the type of deal that teams have had a lot of success with this year. You look at Vanacek going to New Jersey. It was like, oh, he's kind of a backup. Maybe there's more there. Samsonov in Toronto, backup, minimal money or medium money. Maybe there's more there. That might be the more marketable asset. But to your guys' point, if you can free up $6 million, like, whew.
See, this is the funny part I have with Pinder makes awesome points. He looks into it, but the Markstrom situation is exactly the same as what we argued about with Huberdeau yesterday, where I thought these guys were highly regarded around the league, and now we can't move them for what we're paying them.
Well, I mean, Markstrom's coming off the worst year of his career. I don't think,
but the rest of the league also saw the year before and his career and the last 25 games.
Yeah, which is why I don't think it's hard and fast that it's bad or good. I think it would be interesting to see whether there's a market.
I know, but you're saying that he's a very difficult asset to move. So to me, that's like, I thought we had a Vezina caliber goaltender, and most teams in the league would be interested in that sort of goaltender.
I'd say it'd be difficult to move. I just don't know what the market is for him. Like, I'm sure there's a few GMs that really like him. I'm sure there's a few that would say, age, money, like goalies. Like Carolina is just going to say, we don't pay goalies $6. Like, we're going to go find short-term, medium money. That's our philosophy on goaltending. We'll buy low on bad years. We're not going to buy high.
Well, we talked about it before the show. What about a team like Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Jari is probably not coming back, potentially not coming back. If they miss the playoffs here, and if the Flames eat some money or whatever, it's 3 years.
Yeah. Like Burke knows him, I believe. Was there overlap there? Maybe not. Maybe Burke was gone.
Either way, it just popped into my head. I'm with you. I think that you need to have the need for a goalie, and then have the cap space, the financial wherewithal, and then the assets to get a trade done.
And then if you're, hey, do you want to move?
If you're Calgary, and you got Markstrom's going to want to go there, and you got all of it. There's a lot, but I think the Huberdeau situation is different because it's so much more money and so much more term.
Yeah, and he's shit as the bed.
We saw it yesterday. No one's had a worse 1 year to the next.
And you can buy out a Markstrom's last year's deal if you want. You can't buy out that Huberdeau deal. Like, it's all signing bonus money. He's making like $1 million a year in salary. That's all you get really from the salary. So you're stuck paying July 1 bonuses of $8-9 million a year for the rest of the time. But you can't get out of it. If it goes completely sideways, you can buy out most players in this league. Huberdeau got the only contract the Flames have ever written that's essentially buyout proof.
You ever done that? Spend a bunch of money on something and then kind of regretted it and realized I could try and sell this thing, but I'm not getting my money back out of this thing.
I just gave it away. It was a dog.
What sucker took that on?
I feel like Rhett's got a few of these on each side of the ledger.
I'm appalled at the fact that it's the worst contract in the world now. Huberdeau's. Oh, that's the greatest thing we signed up.
But you know what?
Yay!
Because remember at the time, and you know what? It's another one of those things where when you get into the mindset, I'm going to spend $500,000 on a house. Well, this one's 575. Ooh, that's a lot. Well, maybe that was 570. That one's 6 1/4. Well, we were already talking about 575, so now 6 1/4. Well, what's 650? Well, it's kind of one of those things, because if you go back, remember, you were giving somebody 10. Tkachuk, Johnny, Huber. Somebody take 10. Which guy would you rather have for 10? We're spending 10. Well, why are you spending 10? Well, because we were talking about having to spend
the budget.
Well, and to be fair, at the end of last season, when you saw Huberdeau with 115 points and Johnny Gaudreau,
who would you rather have?
I don't know that it's like, oh, you got to take this guy. And everyone was comfy giving Johnny 10.5 here. He was playing on the top line in the NHL. They were fucking unbeatable at even strength. He was running the power play. He eliminated Dallas in Game 7. And so if you're going to tell me we knew that Huberdeau was a fraction of the player Gaudreau and he didn't earn that money, okay, it's idiotic. But I also think that Huberdeau's not a 55-point forward moving forward. I think he's going to be better than that. This is about as bad as it could go for him, right? Just like Daryl's, he's not this, he hasn't forgotten how to coach.
So why are you convinced of that and the rest of the league wouldn't be interested in him?
Because of the structure of the contract. Signing bonus money.
Even if you get an 80-point player.
So we're the only...
Nobody saw him going to 55 points, right? You could question how the fit was going to be. You could wonder about.
You could question why the contract was structured that way.
Yeah, you could. Absolutely.
That's what I'm getting at.
Sure.
That's what I'm getting at.
Well, and so the reason they got that is because this organization was worried about optics, and they said, we got to punch back. We're not going to allow, this city to get besmirched. And Alan Walsh had him over the fucking fire and said, we'll sign long-term now. Here's what it has to look like.
I'm quite positive I said this was a shitty idea from the start. Anyway.
You were very skeptical of extending before seeing the guys. For sure you were.
And there too, at the time, you just had 2 superstar players essentially say, we're not coming back to Calgary. And then you found another superstar player
who was willing
to stay for a lot of money, but it's the same money that probably Tkachuk said no to, or would have said no to, and Gaudreau essentially said no to.
Yep. It wasn't crazy to think that he could be as good as Gaudreau or Tkachuk.
You're not wrong. At the time, I said, hey, well done. You got up off of the mat. You lost 2 superstars. Huberdeau's a superstar. You were prepared to pay that kind of money. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Drop the puck.
And if he gets back to being a superstar, there's not a lot of issues here, and that can be something that's marketable. There's just the question becomes, how do you go from 115 to 55, 57, wherever he's going to finish? And if whatever happened is we can figure that out and reverse engineer it, can he get back to being a superstar? And when you watch a guy have the worst year of his career, it's really hard to imagine them being a star again. Think about Jeff Skinner on the 4th line with Ralph Kruger in Buffalo.
Yeah. Right.
And so I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying right now is the hardest time to imagine Jonathan Huberdeau being a superstar again, because you've just watched the worst season he's ever had.
Also tonight, mentioned earlier, we are expecting, now we know that Wolf is going to play, and we also expect that Matthew Coronato will make his NHL debut. See, that playoff chase, if they were in for the playoffs, if tonight's game meant something, Coronato's probably not getting in. So it's all for the best.
That's the tradesies we'd do?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
That's one game for sure.
Yeah, why do you want a seat at the table? Why do you want a ticket to the dance when you have one game?
The guy I've never met. Yes, Matthew.
Yeah, eyebrows though, good eyebrows.
That does, yeah. Now, and I think you brought it up, and it's known, I think, now that Coronato didn't have to play a game this year for that first year of his entry-level deal to come off the books. So it's
due to his age, his entry.
It's a feel-good story. And in the skate this morning, he was on a line with Nazem Kadri and Jacob Pelche.
I like Pelche coming back in too. We haven't mentioned his name amidst all this. He's hardly played in the last month.
So there you see Coronato, first rounder back to 2021, went to Harvard, as we all really did.
He'll never sign here, guys. He's American.
Careful. That's what they said about Huberdeau. 20 goals, 36 points in 34 games. The guy can shoot the puck.
He's what they don't have a lot of. He's a right shot finisher.
Finishers.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean he's going to score tonight 3 times. And it doesn't mean he's going to be a lock for anything next year. But what he's good at is the type of skill set that they've been looking for since Jerome left. Not to say he's Jerome, he's clearly not. But a right shot winger that can score feels like it's been on the shopping list of this team for 15 years.
So that's exciting. It's exciting for Flames fans, for those 2 guys. There you see the highlight pack, Coronato.
Plus they get to learn from a Stanley Cup winner.
That's right.
Who's centering them, right, Rhett? Stanley Cup winner.
Ultra competitive.
So there you go.
The game's on the line.
No Walker Dewar
What?
Walker Duer.
Sure, I'm telling you, he's been.
Is it that gate? I bet you it's that
It might have
fucking
been the
gate.
gate.
Oh,
Yeah.
Vladar, we love you, but that's a huge black mark on your resume, buddy.
And as I speculated yesterday, if maybe it would be the case, not expecting Nick Ritchie to play tonight.
Really?
As you look at the lines, Lewis with Lucic and Blake
So-
Coleman.
Well, they're just resting
On
for
the
the
fourth.
playoffs. Yeah.
So from most important shot and
Season on the line.
Season on the line to
Popcorn. That's right.
I feel like it'll be good with the popcorn. It wasn't that great with the shootout, though.
I had popcorn.
Lots of
last night.
butter, too.
Great.
Mangiapane and Huberdeau with Backlund as always, and then Lindholm with Toffoli and Dylan.
Are there no
Dubé.
other kids they should be playing?
Who would top your list? Like, I think
I don't know. I'm
Zari?
asking.
Zari, the only other guy.
Zary, I'd leave there. Just like I feel like Wolf, it's been a couple of years of dominating the A, and it's like you've earned this. Zary's in the midst of a first full, really strong campaign in the A. They play tonight. They play Friday, Saturday in Abbotsford. Last three of the regular season in BC.
I guess worth mentioning Ruzicka not playing either.
I guess that's a kid
he's
that's sitting
scratched.
there not doing anything. Doesn't.
And
And he'll
did-
go down to the minors and.
I haven't seen, and it might be on Twitter by now, but we'll learn more about the severity of whatever Chris Tanev was dealing with if he's going to play tonight in a meaningless game.
Does
or not.
I don't. Well, he's
I'd
banged
say-
up. We know that.
Yeah, clearly, and that's probably how you're going to describe the second half of his career, right? Like
Yeah.
that's just going to be that way.
Yeah, it might be. We
The way he plays, like the complete disregard for, his human vessel that his brain's trapped in. Like he don't give a shit about his body. It's crazy the way he plays. It's wild. Warrior.
And a very good point brought up by Ryan Pike, who is our something of something on FlamesNation.ca.
That's
I
good.
saw his title used.
put
He's
that on a
the
card.
something of something. I'll read the tweet. I'm curious about the etiquette of the warm-up solo lap for NHL debuting players when there's 2-in-1 game. Do Coronado and Wolf take the same lap together, or do they each get one? And usually it's the starting goalie that goes out first and then holds back the non-debuting players to allow the rookie laps. I assume Michael Backlund. Usually the first skater out behind the goalie will be the arbiter of rookie laps.
And he's the guy that knocks the pucks back in this.
Who's knocking the pucks? Who's going
Yeah.
first? Are we doing 2 laps? Is
I'm
it 2 at
so-
one time? God, it's a lot to get through.
I'm
Rhett,
so
your thoughts.
done with that stupidity.
What's the matter, you old grump?
It's not
Seriously.
grumpy. It's not funny anymore. It was funny the first time it ever happened. It's like
Yeah, it's gone from funny to like this is a rite of passage and we do it.
This
It's not.
is
No
the-
one's laughing now. It's just cool because it's like
Not
this is
cool.
his first game.
oh, so cool. It's so cool.
It's
Great.
nice for the kid.
You don't. I mean,
I don't think the kid
No?
gives an F. Like I really don't.
you don't have to go and watch warm up. That's the beauty of this. It's
I
not going to be
think-
rammed down your throat.
I think you're a bit of a geezer.
It's definitely fist shaking
Hey,
the cloud.
I don't
here.
have to have an opinion on it. trust me. When I go to bed tonight, it won't be.
You'll be all right with
yeah,
it?
It won't
Yeah,
be
you'll
on my
sleep
mind.
okay?
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
too upset.
but that's these are the questions we need answers.
Yeah,
to.
there's
That's a
hard
good
hitting-
point from
We
Pike.
got Pike on it. We have got Pike on it. for
Also,
sure.
one of the things that Pike brought up yesterday that gave me a little chills was that you do have to watch cap space now. There's no roster limit, so the more bodies you add, the more people you're paying daily, and there are Trevor Lewis performance bonuses that they have to factor in, which I thought was
Well, I was going to say
sensational.
and then I could
That
cut.
there's
kind of-
only one coach in the world that would lobby and
You
ensure
wonder why
that
he was playing. Big D's getting
Trevor
his goal.
Lewis getting his performance bonuses.
Hey, we see that in the NFL. A lot of guys. It's hey, how many? You need another catch? How many yards do you need? That sort of thing. It
I think
happens.
that's good.
It happens.
good.
And maybe that's why Ruzicka is not playing, because Lewis is playing tonight. And the question that I had here, and I have a list, who potentially is taking their last
Oh, good. This
last
is fun
day
over
as a
here.
Flame.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to put the names back up for me.
Well, I'll just I'll read it out. I've got a list here for
Now
you.
go slow here. I'm going to write them down.
Do you want to start at the bottom or the top? I'll start at the bottom. Troy Stetcher.
back.
Sorry, am I asked to guess? I was okay. I'd like to see him back. I hope he's back.
Not an answer. That was a non-answer.
I
That
also
is
hope
my
he's back.
move.
I apologize. I was writing down. You're asking me whether I think they'll be back or whether I want them to be back here.
Are they
Or is
playing?
it their last game?
Is it
Okay.
their last game as a Flame?
I'll say no.
No.
Well, it probably is.
Nick Ritchie,
Yes.
Yes.
Trevor Lewis.
Well, he's not playing, so
But in
gotcha.
Yeah.
Not coming back. Trevor Lewis is not coming back.
What do you know about the coaching staff? I'm with you. Last game for Lewis.
Lucic,
Not
yes.
coming back.
Last game.
Michael Stone.
Hell no, never.
Not coming back.
Now, here's the thing. He might be back, but does he get into a game next? He'll be on the roster. This guy's on payroll next year for sure.
No chance.
It's in the drawer every fucking year. The PTO comes out in September.
Jacob Markstrom.
No. He is back, excuse me.
He's coming
This is
back.
not his last game. He is back.
Is back.
Daryl Sutter.
Back.
Last game.
Brad Treliving.
Not back.
Last game.
It's a long list when you think of it. Now it's open to debate, and there's
never mind the people that might request a trade if one of those people is back.
Yeah, I didn't get into the. You want about Kadri?
How does that play out?
Exit meetings.
Oh, I get that.
No, that's where you would say.
I actually mean so further past. They bring funsies again because that's what we get to do in the off season. Conroy's the GM.
Sure.
Coach is back. Players X, Y, and Z have said, "Get me the out of town."
Mm-hmm.
Won't play for that guy.
Mm-hmm.
How's that facilitated? If it's a Huberdeau, or you just told me it's untradeable.
Yeah, it can't be Huberdeau.
So what happens? But he would be one of the guys that would be saying it. Because Dylan Dubé's not walking in there going, "I'm God if he's here."
No, and you know what? He will be suspended if he doesn't show up to camp. He has to play. Sorry.
Perfect.
Now, what a more realistic scenario is, because Huberdeau is going to say, "Look, I'm here long term. There's more from me, but I can't do it with this coach." He's going to lobby that way, and if the coach comes back, he has to deal with it. He'll outlast the coach. The more interesting scenario is a guy like Backlund, who was suggested that last summer wouldn't mind a change of scenery, not seeing eye to eye with the coach. He's got 1 year left. What if you talk extension with Lindholm and he's saying, "I'm not extending if that guy's here." You could just say the same thing about a Hannafin, whatever it is. I'm just making up names. But if those guys that the end is near anyway, no, that's a realistic asset to move. It's an expiring contract. You go pull the GMs. You see who you get value for. Is this a good time to sell any of these guys?
That's how that not works. Walking in there.
I was going to say, from the outside looking in, it would seem like there's two guys. It's Kadri and it's Huberdeau. And Huberdeau's play dropped off more than anyone in league history. That is butting heads. Been all season. If Huberdeau goes in and says, "I'm not playing for that guy," to your point.
Oh, you suspend him. He's not going anywhere. Same with Kadri. Season he had.
So you don't entertain a coaching change?
No, I would entertain a coaching change. But if you're the Flames and you have a chance to get out from paying Jonathan Huberdeau $10.5 million a year next year, aren't you jumping for joy? Perfect. You don't play this coach and he's coming back. And look, I think there's a lot of good reasons to change it. He's showing up. He has to. It's the only way he collects 10.5.
Point is that what's the agent who we know is
Alan Walsh?
Very vocal about things. What's the agent doing then?
He's kicking up a stink. He's talking to NHL inside. He's trying to make it as difficult as possible for the coach to return, which kind of feels like what he's been doing all year.
That's not what I'm getting at. The coach, the scenario I laid out is the coach is back.
Yeah, and so he'll continue to make life difficult for the coach, I would suggest. What else can you do? You can't not show up. You need to collect the money.
Is there any?
I guess that was what I was.
Is there any chance at a reconciliation of some sort? You would hope that as professionals and grown men, there would be I had a huge culture shock. I went from my career in Florida to Canada to Calgary. The system, the coach, everything, awful year, clearly. How do we make this work? For the coach would, it's in his best interest for it to work too. He'd love to have an 80 to 100 point guy on his team.
This is a mess. It is an absolute mess. This.
Yeah. I think it's an incredibly low probability of that happening. I won't say impossible because.
Now, which are you saying?
That they could kiss and make up.
Yeah.
It's been a nightmare from almost the first week of the season. And it's why I keep coming back to the more rationally you look at this, the more you have to yield to the player that's got that $100 million tag attached to him. And it's not about enabling players and empowering these, entitled millionaires. It's more just you're stuck with one for 8 years. The other's 2. The less painful financial decision is to part with the coach. Yeah, it's just he's going to win the tug of war because he got more leverage. The player's got a ton.
This contract is going to haunt this organization. I don't, even if he bounces back to 75, there's no way Huberdeau is going to 100 points again. No chance.
Who knows, right? I'd like to see him under a different coach before.
I know. I'll bet you.
Well, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't take that bet unless you gave me serious odds. But I hear what you're saying. It's very unlikely he returns to being a superstar.
We knew this contract was going to be shit
at the back end.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Even if you get 110 points, even still.
The only effing reason you did this was at a panic mode and thinking that maybe he'd play well enough and in the first 4 or 5 years he's going to win. The Edmonton Oilers are going to kick the piss out of us for I don't know how long.
There's 3 years
unless
left
there's changes.
So, yeah.
They suck. But
well, and so you have to ask yourself, if you're stuck with Huberdeau, what allows you the best chance of success?
My point to this all, I guess, is I'm running him out of town. If I can.
To do what? Not show up to collect money? Or
there
how do you
has
do it?
to be, I don't know. That's the
so
whole
this
problem.
Is the thing you're stuck with, right? You can't run him out of town. He's going to keep showing up to collect his 10.5.
Maybe his back is
maybe he's allergic to his equipment. Who knows?
It's wonky.
There's no, because I was, is there any kind of precedent? The only other side is where the player would say I'm out, but he won't say I'm out to 10 million.
No, God, no.
He could say, I don't want to play for this guy. I'd like to get moved, but he can't get moved and he's not walking away from all this money.
That's why I find it so hard to see Daryl winning this power struggle.
Because you think in the past of guys like, who's missed considerable time? Didn't Yashin miss time? And Mike Pekka? And there have been guys that
power struggle, Pinder.
You don't think so?
Well,
I think Huberdeau's camp is lobbying hard for. Well, no, I think it is a power struggle. That's all. I'm surprised to hear that.
I think it's bullshit that it's even discussed as a power struggle. That's the coach, and you're the player. Play.
I agree.
So my point being, there is a scenario where Daryl is back, and there is a scenario where the owner says, "Mr. Huberdeau,
deal with it.
Deal with it."
Mm-hmm. I think that's a scenario for sure. But what I would see is if Alan Walsh and Huberdeau and his family, and they're in a full court press talking to the Flames saying, we need change at the coaching position. And Daryl's saying, don't let the inmates run the asylum. I can fix this. Is that not a power struggle? Because I kind of see that's what's happening here.
I think it's semantics a little bit.
I mean, there's no way Huberdeau's camp isn't lobbying for the coach to be gone.
And regardless,
if he gets the coach canned, he'd best perform.
Yep. And he's not the only one that would be getting him fired. Like Daryl's made some missteps this year. And if it was one guy and everyone else was in on Daryl, I'm even more in your camp. Like, suck it the fuck up.
First place last year. So I don't, and most of the lineup was the same. Right? Like,
they lost their best line.
I know, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Most of the team was the same, except the new guys who you brought in and overpaid. And they never battled hard the whole year.
I mean, I've liked Uyghur's.
Uyghur's come along. Absolutely, you're right.
But yeah, the give a fuck for Kadri and Huberdeau has to be incredibly disappointing. That's not like if I'm saying that Huberdeau's
I guess what I'm getting at is whose problem is it?
Well, I mean, the owner, because I don't know who else is in fucking charge right now, really. Right. Like, is it not all coming down to the owner here? Like, who's conducting a GM fucking search if they're getting a new one?
That's what I was going to say. It's less than ideal when you have your star player and your coach at odds, and it's been the whole season, you miss the playoffs, a wasted year, the whole thing. It's bad enough when you have a GM who's been in place and is driving the bus and has a handle on things. You also don't have that.
You got a lame duck GM right now.
It's a terrible scenario.
Is there a scenario where the rest of the squad, like, I'm far away from it and I have no clue, but we're playing.
Yeah.
Still the what if game. Is there a scenario where the rest of the room is as pissed off at the high-end players as they are with the coach?
Could be.
Like, if you're watching Kadri shit his pants in the corner.
Yeah, that's tough.
Is it the coach's fault? Are you looking at Daryl going, man, you see what you did? Or are you looking at Kadri going, you really don't give an F, do you?
You're setting the tone. You're a leader for the next 6 years.
So we got you for 6 more?
I could see both of those situations. I don't know which one it is.
What's the exit meeting when the whoever it is that's asking the questions
Exactly.
says, so what's the issue in the room? Is there I'm guessing there has to be a little bit of, well, Daryl was hard on us. For sure they're going to hear, but there has to be some of the guys didn't respond or try very hard. Maybe
this is the predicament you're in. You're in the spot where you're letting the inmates run the asylum if you get rid of the coach, but it might be the only way you can solve the problem. But it's a dangerous thing to do, because what you're talking about is you're enabling these people that may or may not have quit.
Yeah. So what happens
at
if they
the
don't
biggest
like
time
the
of the
coach
year
next year?
And this is the problem, right? And so there's no easy way out of this. There just isn't. There's not a, hey, look, they won the division again,
coach,
and Huberdeau's the star again.
We use Winnipeg, or at least some people use Winnipeg as a measuring stick or a comparable. Is there a Paul Maurice potential comparable here?
Yeah.
Maurice walks away. I've done what I can with this group. They need a new voice. Is there?
Paul Maurice knew he was going to Florida.
He left midseason last year. Are you sure of that? Because there was talk, like, if Florida goes on a deep run, I think they re-up their head coach. No? That won the President's Trophy?
How do we know? I mean, that's...
Yeah, and we don't know what they're asking. I just think Maurice knew he was done there. And maybe he had other jobs on his mind. Maybe he didn't. But it wasn't working. He saw issues. He knew he couldn't fix them anymore. That's a little more inward looking than I think, and less stubborn than how Daryl operates. But if you told me that you could change the culture by changing the coach and get better results from people, I'd buy that for sure.
I wonder if Daryl, who is, we know he's extremely intelligent, he's on that bench every day, he's on the ice with these guys, if he has even a shred but here, just let me finish. If he even has a shred of the way you think and the way you believe, that he looks at this team, he's like, there's no fucking heart here. We're not winning with this team. Am I between salary cap and personnel and GM and all this, are we going to turn this thing around in the next year or two that we're going to round 4 of the playoffs?
So Huberdeau won't walk away from his contract, right?
Right.
And I don't care how much money Mr. Sutter has, $4 million or whatever the rumors are that he's making.
Sure, 2 to 4 seem reasonable, somewhere in there. Yep.
Is a piss pot. And he knows it's his last piss pot. Right?
I don't get that expression. You're saying that this is a big deal or not a big deal?
He's saying he won't walk away from that money easily.
I think if you look at his track record, is he
and he believes
stubborn?
In himself.
Yeah.
I don't think he questions his ability to coach.
I agree.
I think he questions what his team was willing to sacrifice. And there's both sides of that coin.
That's what I mean. Does he feel like he has the intangibles, the team that's willing to sacrifice to get to that next step?
Not now.
Again, we can one save a month from October, November, December, and January. One save a month might put you in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're only going to miss
the other
2 or
thing,
3.
because I'm with you, and I kind of at the end of the show yesterday, I did kind of feel like, Jesus, like we've just torching these guys and torching Sutter. How do coaches become, how do they become frustrated with players? Generally, when you've put them in a position and they've let you down. Once you lose that trust as a coach, you're like, dude, what do you do? You're killing me. How could you do that in that situation? I put you in it. When that happens over and over, I don't think that Jonathan Huberdeau strolled into the room and Daryl kind of looked in and said, I don't like the cut of his jib. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how, whatever you
something
think
happens before that.
Something happens.
Before he says he's taking a shit, something happens.
During a game, during a practice, behind, there's something. You don't just, out of you're the coach. You don't just grow a dislike for no reason. And obviously,
you're saying an Albertan wouldn't just dislike someone from Quebec?
Something with Kadri, it was the same thing, because his play was fine, and then it wasn't fine after the All-Star game. Like, I don't know what the hell happened, but something went sideways. And we look at it and say, well, Sutter can't get along with anybody. Well, we also know that Kadri is a guy who's rubbed people the wrong way over time. And maybe that's what makes him great. Maybe that's what you want in a player.
Is everybody whining with the teams that he's left, that he was gone?
I just wonder if there's more on the other side, because generally coaches, you get sour on players when they continually.
That's why I think the most likely scenario is coach is back and players are back, and you're going to have 1 or 2 small changes and see what happens.
And that leads us to yesterday's conversation. That's capital A apathy, if that's the case.
Well, perhaps, but what we just said, one save a month for the first 4 months puts you in the playoffs.
Yeah, unless the 5-1 start doesn't death spiral and you actually maintain some kind of consistency.
Right? Like there's no apathy if they're in the playoffs, and they have been established.
Their goaltending is under 900.
Oh, yeah.
No fucking team, regardless whether they love each other or not, is going to do anything.
Because that might be the big change right there. You've got a guy like Dustin Wolf. He comes in. And again, we've talked about it. We're trying to be positive now. So you feel the tone of our voice.
Is it positive today?
Really
Yeah,
positive.
Got it.
Yeah, it's nice
So-
and warm.
So Dustin Wolf comes
positive
in
today.
and wins you another game, and Markstrom's plays better and doesn't shit his pants and sieve out. So, remember the shot in Ottawa in overtime? It's like, oh my, come on, let make that save.
Never mind the comeback from 3-1 in Ottawa that same night. Yeah.
Right? So, and you've said it, and we've said it. If they're in a playoff spot the whole way through, is the whole room not more positive? Is the disdain for each other and the coaching not
Winning's
better?
It's
more
the
fun than
best
losing.
deodorant on earth. And so this is where we're at again. It's dysfunctional this year. And yet look how close they were with shitty goaltending, a bad power play, and a lot of guys having the worst years of their career in terms of shooting percentage, stuff that typically bounces back. But I also hear you saying they're not talented enough and they look too slow.
I don't think they are fast.
So it's like, so I get both arguments. They're both pretty strong.
I was reading something online, and I guess, and it's not a shock, but they were discussing the two most disappointing players in the National Hockey League both played for the Calgary Flames this year. Jacob Markstrom and Jonathan Huberdeau.
And Kadri could be added to that.
And that's
You went from a Vezina guy
Yeah.
to a sub 900 save percentage. You went from 100 and whatever. You had a 60-point drop in
so far.
There's not a lot of teams that can have their star goaltender and star forward or whatever have those kind of losses and absorb it.
Yeah, and then mix in some drama in the room. I mean, yeah, it's not
Would there
hard
be
to
anybody?
imagine.
I never really thought about it. We talk
There
about it
would
every
be
day, and
no
it was
way,
right in front.
because if either one of those doesn't play out, you're probably in the playoffs, and you haven't been chewing on each other for the last 5 months, mad and frustrated, and the coach would be less like he's always going to be pushing buttons. But
How many extra time losses was it?
17.
17.
Franchise record.
You
You're
might-
not going to be able to do that again next year. Sorry.
17. You might be a little irritable in the room after 17 of those sons of bitches.
53 one-goal games, including empty netters. They won 20.
Could you?
It's hard to tell me this group doesn't have the talent to do it when almost every game they played is a one-goal game, and they got shitty goaltending, had a below-average power play, and there was drama in the room.
all right, so we're going to be positive. Can you? Where's the?
I feel it. Don't
where's
you?
the lineup? Where's the lineup? Can you,
Yeah,
Alex?
Alex, let's get that
lineup back up. We're gonna make a couple of changes here.
Couple tweaks, Rhett. You want the cap? I'll get the
Jesus,
cap
we're
up for you.
already putting things back together for these
Game
bastards,
82.
and
I
they
feel
haven't
like we're
even
really looking
finished,
past the
Christ's
Sharks. I
sakes.
feel like we're really not giving the Sharks their due today. That's not
Okay,
fair.
you're gonna add Wolf. Vladar's gone. Now
cap
if
space.
Markstrom doesn't make the saves, you've got a guy that's ready to take the reins, and he's going to win you some hockey games. 932 save percentage. All right.
There it is.
So we've got 10 more points coming from our goaltending. How many
Yeah.
points we're going to end up this year, even if we lose tonight?
Let's say they're at 90,
90.
89,
So that
91,
10 points puts them at 100. Now we got 100 points next year.
101. There
What
you
are we doing up front? We're going to add a little speed. Walker
Durzen full
there.
time, Lewis Gonzo, Lucic Gonzo.
And we're going to have
You got
Pelche
Pelche,
in.
Coronado. There's more speed there.
Look at the lineups there. Lucic and Lewis are gone. You're going to have Dewar and
Rosie.
I
Pelche, Coronado.
I'm frustrated with Rosie because he's got what it takes, but he doesn't play with the emotion I need from and I want someone with some. Is Zary a center?
Zary's a center, and he's got a little bite to his game.
There we go. So I got Dewar, Zary, and Coleman on my bottom line. I got Pelche, Kadri, and there's the rest of it. The bottom line's the only one that's changing.
And on your blue line, it's not crazy to suggest when we see videos of Oliver Shillington working out that he could return to this
There you
club.
go. Stetcher, Shillington.
Do you think?
Oh, I do, yeah.
But
I mean,
the only issue I have is, do we have enough cap space for all this?
Well, if you're moving Vladar out, you make a little bit of cap space. If you're bringing back Stetcher, what does he cost?
Lucic makes money. He's out.
Well, you've already
Kinda
ate up
spent
the
that already.
again. So Huberdeau goes 5'9",
That Huberdeau raise is
5'9" to 10.5.
a thing.
Uyghur goes from what 4-ish to 6 3/4,
Yeah.
and Vladar goes from less than $1 million to 2.75. You move that out, you freed up
Vladar's cheap,
million.
or Wolf would be cheap.
Entry level.
Question.
Bonuses might get you.
Question. As we look at the defense, are Hanifin and Uyghur
I don't look at
the same, enough of the same guy
Hanifin
that you move Hanifin knowing that you have Uyghur?
I just, my concern there, Dean, is that you have a Chris Tanev, who we love, but can't trust injury-wise moving forward. I don't think. I think he got crunched with his shoulder there.
It's 2 years
And
now. I'm with you. Yeah, keep going.
My concern would be he's going to be aging slower, more prone. Love him, but I just worry you're not going to have enough depth.
It's the 4th year of a 4-year deal he signed as a free agent in his 30s. What you'll get next year from Chris Tanev is probably just gravy. He's been really good for 3 years, and he didn't miss any time practically at all until last year's postseason, and then about 10 games this year.
Can you trade Zadorov?
Sure.
Because I would move Zadorov before I would move Hanifin, because I don't love Hanifin's game. I like it, and I think he can play big minutes, where I think if you're playing Zadorov a ton, you run a bigger risk.
It's going to cost
I don't
you.
like Zadorov in the top 4. And the other question you have to factor into all of this is you've got 7 key guys that enter the season coming up as their last. So you should, if you're doing your job, talk to Noah Hanifin about what an extension costs and what the future looks like, and does he like this market? Because I think it might be a sell high moment for Noah Hanifin in his career. And if he ain't going to re-sign here, or he wants 8 a year,
if he's looking,
then and that's too much money. But
that's what he's going to want, right? That's going to be the ask.
He'll want 6+, 6 to 7. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the points, so you can't really put him in that big money category. But he's close,
right?
I think he'd look at Hampus Lindholm's type money that got extended in Boston last year, and that I think is like mid-6s.
Because he doesn't miss a lot of time.
No,
he's a good.
He skates well. He's a good one-on-one defender. There's no, like, if you're asking him to run the power play, it's miscast, but he's minutes. He's a legit 2-3 in this league.
So Zadorov trade that you say you can, is this one of those Zadorov and a second to Arizona for futures?
No.
Is that how this works? Or?
Oh, he's got to be good.
What, he's got 11 goals? That's not nothing.
I'm telling you,
he's physical.
It's a roller coaster with him, but
there's some skills there.
Teams don't want to play against him. He scored 11 goals. He's a valuable asset around the league.
It's the money's not egregious.
It's when he's there that the issue is. And whereas I'm saying they're on top 4.
But I'm telling you what, that's on our D. There would be D cores out there that
he's a third
this good, and he might be a top 4 on some D cores.
Or some GM will fool himself like Jarmo Kekalainen did in Columbus and say, look how good this guy was on the 3rd pair. I'm going to bring him in and elevate him. And it's been a nightmare for Goodbranson. They gave him too much money. But like, if Goodbranson draws that, don't tell me you can't move Zadorov to somebody. I mean, he adds offense. He's physical. It's not for everyone, but there's enough GMs that like that.
Yeah, and if you're rolling out Hanifin, Anderson, Uyghur, Stetcher, Tanev as your...
And Shillington.
I'm leaving that out there. If Shillington's back, even better. That's pretty impressive.
You kind of jarred your head when I said Shillington.
You've said Shillington. You've been taught. I don't know what, unless you're hearing something that I'm not, I don't know why you have the...
I'm not saying he is back.
The belief that just...
I would be concerned that missing a year of hockey ain't easy.
What does he look like? Yeah.
And why does... If he's coming back, then what's changed?
Well, he's able to play. That's the difference. Whatever issues didn't allow him to play are less serious than they were, or he wouldn't play again.
Anyway, we fixed it. Let's not get into the Shillington.
No,
he will or he won't be back. We can't predict.
We don't know if he's going to be back.
I just feel like
we didn't see him not showing up at camp this year. We don't know if it was an injury, personal. It does. Don't.
I just think it's safer to operate under the assumption that he's not.
And that's totally the way I would operate, is under the assumption he's not.
Yeah, you can't pencil
if he's
him
in.
Somewhere.
Wow, even better.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Totally.
Even better.
Now, I will say this. If you're Oliver Shillington and you're coming off the year he had last year, I'd be stunned if he doesn't give this league another go at some point. Issues are not at home. It's just, I don't see another career path for Oliver Shillington to make millions of dollars a year. Whether it's easy or not, he'll give this another go, because that's what happens in most of these instances. Guys in their 20s that disappear for a year, give it another try. Whether he's the same player or not, we don't know. He'll try again, I'd suggest.
Okay, so let's finish this off. So the forwards group.
Where's the parade? This is great.
We've got that. We got 10 more points team points coming from our goaltending tandem next year. That's good. The defense, I think we got figured out. If Hannafin's looking for 8 a year, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
He's in that right age to get
5,
paid too.
Right? He's making 5 now.
5 and change, yeah. 5.5-ish.
4.95 or what? I think it was just a smidge.
And I don't even know if I might even pay him, except I don't know if it fits under our cap situation.
Hampus Lindholm got traded from Anaheim to Boston last year at the deadline and almost immediately signed a massive extension at 6.5 a year. And he's been paired with Charlie McAvoy. When they're both healthy, they've been one of the best pairs in the NHL. I see lots of similarities between the two. There might have been more upside in Lindholm's game earlier in his career. And frankly, like Hannafin, it just sort of, if he's on a team that has a dynamic offensive year, there's more points. If the team struggles to score, there's less. He's not a driver of offense in my mind.
Okay, so we got it figured out, though. We'll keep him. If we've got to trade someone, we might have to trade one.
Okay.
But
who are you prepared to live without?
4.95 a year for Hannafin. Sorry.
Yeah.
On the point,
or just because there are all those impending UFAs after next year. It would behoove the GM to investigate. So you're trading Zadorov?
We've got a lot of Johnny Gaudreau syndrome going on. Winning fixes thing, even though Gaudreau and Tkachuk laughed after winning.
Tops in the West or something like that.
If you enter this year and it doesn't go as we're predicting now, it should go.
I mean, this is the flaw is that there's a lot of guys. We're making a good case of their playoff team. And we also just mentioned there's 7 UFAs. So if you're in a spot like you were last year, how do you approach the middle portion of the season when you've got 3 defensemen in your top 5 that are expiring? Maybe 4 of your top 6 could be expiring. Zadorov, Shillington in theory, Tanev, Hannafin. Like, how do you approach? Do you just sell them all?
That's why you got to lock up Stetcher.
Well, and so not that, but this is why you have to talk extension with all these guys this summer, right? And that's where I wonder how things go. You'd love to have Toffoli, but I don't know if you're going to love him on the next contract he has as he gets older and older, right? What do you do there?
Rhett, what do you do?
I wait till next fall or next spring and see how the team's done.
I don't know that there's a bigger sell high moment for Tyler Toffoli in his career than right now.
I would be actually fine selling Toffoli because I agree with you. I think he's a professional. I think he's done great. He's the one piece that we can't really complain about here at Calgary this year. But I would absolutely be listening to somebody's.
I was going to say, rattle off for Rhett and for the people listening, watching that list of. This is after the end of next season. Yeah. So people going into their final year of their contract. When you think of the Flames, this team that you're building and molding, character, players, skill, ability, all of that, leadership, put it all into your thought process. Who are you prepared? And some of it will come down to it's just too much money. But just on the level, who is a Flame? Who are you prepared to live without?
Well, the challenge
give us
is
the list.
The UFAs. It's your number 1 center, Elias Lindholm.
So Lindholm, is he a guy that you feel like he's an integral part of our team?
Well, if you want my honest opinion on the whole, I'm trying to put a positive. I'd sell everyone. That's how I feel about this group.
He's a core piece. It's really hard to imagine this team.
If you're buying that this team can come back, my concern is that how do you compete with the Oilers? Blah 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 blah. Yes, he's back.
Because I said it to you the other, and it all comes down to price, but he just strikes me as a guy that can just play responsibly
of the
for a long time.
He's the Hannafin of the forward group where you don't worry about him. He might not do everything you hope, but he's proven he can be damn good on both ends of the ice.
And imagine this team without Elias Lindholm. I can't see anything but a retool.
If you're losing Elias Lindholm, you're retooling the whole
because
team.
It's Kadri and Backlund at 35 is your 1-2 and center. And the season that Kadri had was not good enough. And Backlund might be having a career year. He's 1 goal from 20 and he's good defensively. But God, the whole idea was to be able to put him as your 3rd line center and then you'd be good, right?
If you chew on some of Kadri's money, can you move him?
Probably, but I think people will want to see what they haven't seen for the last 2 months.
Anyway, then you're back to the scenario where you don't have depth down the middle.
Lindholm
we're of the belief that we're going to rally this team. Okay, Lindholm, we got to have him back.
So that's going to cost you 8 to 9 a year on an extension, probably.
I don't have to worry about salary caps.
Okay. And I'm just
because we're just talking about your vision. Yeah.
It's the last year of Michael Backlund's career's contract with the Flames next year. He's a career Flame and has been, I would suggest, their second best forward this season. Remains great defensively. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a little sulky love this year, but you're also into the mid-30s, and it's like, okay, are you coming back? Hometown discount? Do you want a chance to win elsewhere if it isn't happening here? Backlund's an interesting case.
Backlund will be back, and I actually believe that he is committed to, especially if they're somewhat competitive. I think he's back, and I think he's a Calgary guy.
He is, but I also think he's had a tough go with Sutter more than many. Like there was whispers he had politely asked that if
it's a positive thing. He was feeling so good.
Okay. Well, and
he's
maybe
a Calgary guy. You're right.
We don't know who's coaching.
He's a Calgary guy.
It would be great if he was a career Flame.
I agree.
And he does love the city, and he's incredibly philanthropic here. And I think he's a great human, and we've seen him come such huge strides.
The other thing is, if he wants to go. I mean, as good as he's been, I think that if you let him go, you're letting a guy go that's not accelerating his career. He's reached his cusp, and you like what he offers, and you like what he does, and he's a good fit. But if he leaves, well, that's a spot for someone else to step up and get an opportunity.
And to your point with Gio in his last year, like you can't, if it's not going to happen here, you can't really judge a guy for wanting to get a deep run.
Nope.
Like his deepest playoff runs would be 2014, that Bob Hartley find away Flames that beat Vancouver in round 1, and then last year. That's it.
So you're 2 for 2. Lindholm and Backlund are on Team Rhett.
Tyler Toffoli is 1 goal away from 35. It's the best goal scoring total of his career. The only season he scored at a better rate was the shortened one in Montreal, where he left Vancouver and seemingly scored 8 goals on the Canucks every time he played them in that Canadian division. He is up at the end of next year and has been their best player, you could argue.
Oddly enough, I think he's replaceable.
You wouldn't worry about leaving something on the table and selling low if you moved him. And I love the player, but what does the next contract for him look like if you sign it this summer? It's going to be too much and too long. You're probably 31.
Yeah. So
not fleet of foot, but he is a finisher, which we've said we don't have, there's not enough of. The other thing is I wonder there too. Traded here, didn't sign here. How badly, as you said, you got to have guys that want to be here. How badly does Tyler Toffoli want to be a Calgarian?
Yeah, and to be fair, at this age, he turns 31 in a couple weeks. A lot of where he chooses to go is probably going to be like, it's my last paycheck in the league. Who's going to give me term and money?
Yeah, I agree.
Because he was the guy that had that monster year in Vancouver in the bubble, but that's when the economic NHL climate just collapsed, and he didn't get much money because we're like, where's the fucking Aquilini? He's like, I'm not spending any money.
I got to put him on my, is tonight the last Toffoli night now? See, it's his last night as a Flame.
I don't think so, because I don't think they need to trade him right now.
They don't have to, but you certainly need to know this summer what sort of stuff you could get for him, right?
Who wants him? I
think any contender would love to have that guy. That number.
Cap,
4 and change for a guy that scored 35. You cannot go shopping for that. You have. That's a very, very tantalizing skill set. Chris Tanev, we noted last year on the back end of his 4-year contract.
Play it out.
Yeah. If a contender wants to add him next year mid-season, he'd be a really nice add. The health thing's a challenge.
If we're in a playoff run and we're looking good next year, like I said, we're going to have 104 points, and Tanev wants to play out that contract. That's been a good signing. It's not an asset I think you need to maximize and get return for. If you're going to the playoffs, you need him. So
the youngest UFA is just 26-year-old Noah Hannafin. He is going to be right in his prime as he negotiates a new contract, which will probably be a max term, come be a pillar for the next 8 years with somebody type contract. Again, don't expect him to run your power play. Do expect him to play 25 minutes a night and be able to play against anyone. Skates really well. The type of guy that I think ages well because his feet are so good.
Back. And again, it's all dependent on dough. And if
it's in that, because he's making 5.
Tanev's leaving. I don't know if you need to bring him back after next year. I think he's done what you wanted. If he wants to come back, are you getting him for cheaper or more?
And to be fair, what can you expect from the way he plays? What's left to do from now?
Right.
Zadorov is up. It's a lot.
Irrelevant.
There's a lot of tools.
He wants to stay if it's the right price. If he wants to, if you can move. But again, he's a piece where if you're in like they hung on to Giordano when they knew damn well they weren't making the playoffs and just let him walk for nothing. I'm okay with letting Tanev and Zadorov walk if they're part of my playoff performance, right? Like
you can address that at the deadline, to your point, I think.
Right? You don't have to re-sign them.
Now,
if you're in a playoff spot, play it out.
Are you happier with Nikita Zadorov at 3 3/4 a year next year, or Troy Stecher at half that money? That's maybe a way you view it, trying to get some cap savings.
Stecher.
You do, or I do?
I do.
It's been a good little sample for him. It might not be go prorate these numbers, and that's what he is over 82.
I don't care about his numbers. I like
what was that stat they had? So he got 3 goals in his last 10, and he had 1 in his last 100 or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's a flame.
Well, and I vaguely recall him having a good big goal against the Oilers in the playoffs last year.
My concern is that I don't recognize anyone on the Wranglers squad that screams, I'm ready to play.
Not on the blue line. Jeremy Poirier is really unpolished and super crazy offensive upside, but I don't believe he's knocking on the door. So, and Gilbert, I think, is going to be what he is, which is a 6, 7, 8, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're into injuries, and you come.
Gotta have Stecher.
So what did we do? We done?
We didn't do anything. You kept everyone.
Well, but
you're going to trade Vladar this summer. That's probably it.
But
and he's not.
I'm not even worried about. I'm selling the scenario that you come back with these guys and play it out.
You are today. You definitely are today.
I told you there were the positive vibes
good.
now, right?
Because I think I still got the clip about if they're bringing this.
Well, hey, if we only want to talk shit, let's do that.
Well, you said they're not going to win me over till January. I mean, it's a well-organized argument. It is. And the flip one is also a strong one, saying there's so much dysfunction here. You need change almost just for the sake of change in a way.
And this is the hardest conversation to have right now. The one of exhale. What if next year you have better goaltending? What if you don't have 17 extra time left? That's because right now everybody's pissed off, and the other teams are making it, and this team isn't. And everyone's pissed. A trade, everybody, the core. We've heard that for years and years, and I don't think that that's wrong, because there are some maybe bigger fundamental issues that are around this team that probably need changing. But between the cap and contracts and everything else, because really, in terms of expiring guys this year, what is it? Richie Lewis, Lucic? That's not.
And Stone, who will get his PTO in September.
Yeah, that's not a game changer for this team.
No,
you
want those guys.
You almost have to.
It's the youth movement speed.
You're bringing everybody back. How do we try and make it better? That's kind of what, in the real world, that's almost what you're left with if you're Treliving or whoever's running the team or coach.
Well, and if you've got an owner that's saying,
"Got to make the playoffs,"
you guys even if you bring Treliving back, whoever's GM, you got a coach that's got a contract, and you got players that have contracts. You idiots down at that dome place there, so you figure it out. Don't fans and media, don't phone me. We've got guys signed up here that are supposed to be running this shit. Let them figure it out.
So 2 things. Frank said he thinks it's an almost 0 chance both guys are back, but I think only Murray Edwards really knows that. Also, Frank's almost never wrong on this kind of stuff. So I wonder about that. And then secondly, the scenario that you really hated with Johnny Gaudreau was that they entered that last season without something done. You didn't extend him. So are you okay doing without Lindholm, or do you have to have something done? Like, because I just wonder about your stance on that's maybe their most important guy, Lindholm, in a lot of ways. It's tough to see this team competing with anyone. He's the only guy you can squint at and say number 1 center. Are you okay to walk in?
I think you're underestimating how do I say it without, I think you're underestimating the personal aspect of what happened with Gaudreau and the COVID rules and the lockdowns and the fear of having a child and not allowing parents to see, and wasn't his dad down and out and he couldn't see his dad. Like, I don't want to get into any of that shit, but to me, that is why Johnny Gaudreau is not a Calgary Flame.
I don't think it was anything the Flames did wrong, right? Like it's
right. So
I'm with you there.
So to compare those two, I get it because it looks the same, but I think it's a different. I just don't think Gaudreau is an example of how things typically go.
So you wouldn't have a problem then walking into the season with no contract for Elias Lindholm and no contract for.
Here's what I think. I think that winning changes everything.
I agree.
And so if you go into next year with Lindholm, with the same team, so if Frank's right, you got a new GM. Don't care. Trillering or whoever it is. It's hard because I've gone off the rails. I don't like how the Flames have managed their organization for 30 years. I don't think there's been a long-term game plan. Anyway, I'm going to take a step back and do the deep breath, which is what everyone says you need to do. Come back next year. The owner says, you idiots figure it out. You're getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
You made it. You fix it. Daryl, you're staying, but you're fixing it. Don't be a stubborn prick. Jonathan Huberdeau, get in a room with Daryl and figure your shit out. And Mr. Kadri, you as well. So Lindholm doesn't have a contract. You go into next year and you start winning. Does he want to come back then? Probably much more likely, right? You go into next year and you shit the bed. Huge asset to move.
Yeah.
Huge. Massive return.
Should be. Yeah. The challenge is if they're good and the contract's like, fuck, he's got us over the barrel. We can't pay him that. He's not a $10 million player. That's the challenge, is that the player and the agent know when they have all that leverage. And the best leverage scenario for Elias Lindholm and Noah Hannafin to negotiate a deal with the Flames is with them in first or second in the division, on their way to the playoffs, right ahead of the deadline.
I think you could approach Lindholm, though. But so here's the other thing. You can't make a guy sign. Elias Lindholm can say, I'll let you know. So sure, you could trade him over the summer. Okay. I'm not saying that.
Like Johnny a year ago.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it can't, that if that's the vibe you're getting as the new GM or the old GM, that don't. I can see the scenario where you go, yeah. And I'm okay with it because whatever you do with Lindholm, whether you sign him, which would be great because I think he solidifies your lineup, or trade him, which would be great because he's going to massive return, it's okay. Whatever. And that might be the deciding factor for how things go.
But what then if he walks? Because that's been your greatest fear always, right? And we talk about that. If you're a good team and you're in the playoffs, you're not trading your number one center.
The Gaudreau thing. How did you
let
it get
bad,
to
you're probably
point?
not. You know what I mean? It's kind of
It's a tough spot.
The Geo one was the one because they weren't making the playoffs, but there was an expansion draft kind of part of it. And should they have signed him before with Gaudreau? Should you have signed him before?
But here's then where the GM that's there now maybe shouldn't be back for this scenario because you've got a guy like Lindholm who you'd rather have. You brought in Huberdeau and gave him everything and didn't play right. Like it's being created.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's GMing here. They inherit the mess that's here. Whether it's Tree or somebody else, you're stuck with the Huberdeau contract. You're stuck with the Kadri contract. You have what
my point, I guess, is that you guys are now saying that Lindholm hates it here in Calgary, and if that's the vibe,
nobody said that.
No,
I'm asking you if you're comfy starting the season with him as a UFA.
It's hard
because you weren't with Gaudreau last year. You said you wouldn't have done that.
It's hard to trade him because you know how that goes. You get, we're not talking once we're in the season, all that bullshit. And then you're a good team, and we can't trade our leading scorer. And
I just see this owner, if they're in a playoff spot, is he going to let you trade Elias Lindholm? All he wants is to make the playoffs.
And no teams really do that when they're in a playoff spot. Trade their best player.
Hey, we're in a playoff spot. Let's trade our number one center. Like he's got you over barrel, and he's maybe an $8.5 million player, and he'd love to extend him at that, and he wants 10 because he knows he's got you over barrel. So the new GM saying,
but extend him. I'm fine with extending him this summer if that's.
Yeah,
you're going to get a fucking vibe, right?
You'd love to have that work done this summer, no doubt.
I was going to say, if
you had a better. The scenario is that you guys are saying I can only wait till I'm in.
No. This started, and I said, "Are you comfortable with him starting the season as UFA?" So now we're back to yes. It's probably good to address this summer.
Yeah. Ideally, you address it this summer.
Yeah, and that's again where it's like, okay, so if Elias's exit meeting says, Love it here. Would love to be a career Flame. Not going to sign up for more Sutter. We're into this vicious circle of like, who's making the decisions?
You're
who's the
assuming
GM?
that Elias Lindholm is going to walk in there and say Sutter's a piece of shit.
You've been playing what if
with.
all morning. I'm allowed to too. I'm just saying that could be a scenario.
But that's your always scenario. Every player in that
because
room.
I believe there's a lot of guys that don't want to return if Daryl's here. I might be wrong, but I
just don't. It's staggering, and you can be right, but it's staggering to me that we didn't hear a fucking peep about that last year. It's stunning to me.
It's the deodorant, man. They won. And you can put up with an asshole treating you poorly if things are elsewhere in your life are going well. But if work sucks and you have to deal with an asshole boss,
not every player in the history of Daryl Sutter's career hates him.
But at the same time, he might have been easier to get along with last year.
I think for sure.
Probably everybody was getting along a lot
told
better.
You, the worst thing that can happen is Daryl Sutter wins Jack Adams, and then he ramps it up and turns into a tyrant to prove he's not soft because he wanted Jack Adams.
And so you'd understand if someone said, look, I'm a year away from making a decision. You're asking me to be honest. My preference would be to not play for him. Now I'll come back and honor my contract.
Here's the other thing that everyone believes that they have a fucking opinion on who should coach. Never once in my career did anyone ask me about a fucking coach at a year-end meeting.
You didn't get coach your exit meeting stuff?
I had coach exit meetings. Never once did a GM say, hey, what do you think of the coach? You know what was asked? Mind your own fucking business.
That's told, I think, not asked. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry. It's a different world. Like, you're right, but that's not how it works anymore. They're going to ask about the coach.
He's been in the meetings, I guess.
Well, okay. If you don't think they're going to ask about the coach, you can hang that on your plaque and put it behind you for the rest of the show. It's like, they'll ask about the coach. Is the GM not going to ask about the fucking coach?
Who's the fucking GM? You don't even know. Maybe there's no GM.
Today it's True Living. And so when exit meetings start, if he's the GM, he'll do the exit meetings. And if it's somebody else, they'll do the exit meetings. You've talked so much about dysfunction here. You cannot pretend they're not going to ask about relationships in the room and how the coaches treat.
My point, Ryan, isn't that. They will ask. But not everyone's going to go in with a noose.
I agree.
And throw it around someone's neck.
Agreed.
And start yanking. That's what you're saying, though. Every player that you've brought up is going to sacrifice.
I said what if, Rhett, and you've been saying what if all day. So I'm allowed to say what if too.
Okay, so that's your.
I'm just saying, like, I'm
what
not.
What am I? What ifs being about?
What if Markstrom's back? What if the coach returns? Like the whole day's been hypothetical.
So I have different what ifs.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. So just allow me to have a what if or two. That's all. I think it would be silly to suggest that everyone's excited to return and play for Daryl. So we don't know who these guys are exactly, but we probably have a good idea. Like if we're going to suggest that Huberdeau and Kadri have issues with the coach, I don't think that's hard for people to believe. Their thing is that they're locked in long-term here. The real interesting parts of this offseason are the 7 guys that expire. And if you're going to talk extension, this is the type of thing that I think will come up.
I also think that it's a little naive to think that the GM or that they're going to be sitting there. So what do you think of the coach? Because we have no idea.
We're blind.
We've been out of town all year. How have things been going with Daryl? Are you guys?
I would think they probably ask for more details on what
players
could have
have
been
conversations with agents who talk to the GM. The GM talks to players. The GM is on every road trip. This isn't a hands-off kind of a thing. I don't think that there needs to be a ton of clarity tomorrow or Friday as to how the harmony in the room is from the players to the coach.
I think it's a huge thing they have to address this offseason. I think he's going to come back or not, right?
You know what I'm saying? I think
they know where it's at.
I think they're very aware of
I
what's
think
happened between Daryl and certain players on the team.
Agreed. And I also think Brad's really thorough and a pro, and that he will get it in writing in his reports for whoever takes over this job, or if it's him. I don't think he's not going to ask, because I think he knows a lot of the answers, but are you going to seek clarity? Do you want to get it in writing so the next guy understands what he's inheriting? Like, I don't think Brad's sewering this team on the way out. That's not how he's wired. If someone's going to read through the files of exit meetings, it's not going to be like, didn't ask about the coach. It's going to be like, there was an incident here. Huberdeau didn't like it when said this. And what really matters isn't how Huberdeau feels. He's here forever. It's 7 guys that you either have to part with, re-sign, or go into their final year as UFAs with.
But I guess just to go back to the original one, which is where you scoffed, is about a Lindholm talking extension.
Yeah.
So if you're talking a 7 or 8 year extension, where does I don't like Daryl right now fall into his list of priorities?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think if the money's right, you'll probably grin and bear it because you know that coaching shelf lives are short anyway. Like if Daryl's back, it might be his last year. At worst, it's his second last year. You're not signing up for 8 years of Daryl. I get that. But also, we know how grating he can be on some players. And some will just say, I would do it, but this isn't the circumstance I can deal with again. I'm not saying Lindholm is saying this. I'm saying someone likely will say something like that of the 7 guys who are up at the end of next year.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're probably right. I wonder how frequent a thing that is for teams where you have your own player and you're having the, let's talk extension. Do you like it here? How are things going? You know, you start to get into that. How often I don't like the coach or the coach and I like.
That's what I'm getting at. Is it doesn't happen as often.
I just don't.
I wonder what happened in Boston last summer because Cassidy's a really good coach and he's going to make the playoffs and likely win a division with Vegas. And he knows what he's doing. But it crossed the line with those players to the point where David Krejci went back to Europe and to the point where they really didn't have to reinvent the wheel this year. It's kind of the same team. And yes, they made some nice adds at the deadline, but they overcame some serious injuries this year. And I think the players talked with management about the coach.
Well, and the thing there too is you have guys like Bergeron and Marchand and Krejci. Like the guy friggin' left the team because of the coach.
And look, because they're first, no one's going to critique it, right? But they did. They talked about the fucking coach.
Had a first ballot Hall of Famer in a Patrice Bergeron who has been there his whole. If you had that here, I wonder if it's a little bit different as opposed to Huberdeau. I've been here for 81 games. I hate
or 20 games, right? Yeah.
The thing is, guys will always sign. That's what Huberdeau did. You think that the rumors are Daryl's not hard on guys? Oh, geez. Yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't know Daryl was so hard on guys. Like Huberdeau didn't walk into that room and
he knew,
right?
He's like, this can be a lot. I don't think he knew exactly what he was getting, but he knew it was going to be tough.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Then walk away. Well, I can't because it's a lot of money.
It's $100
Yes, that's what you signed, and you knew at the time.
Yeah, 84 million.
Maybe not to that extent. And yeah, it's the Lambo. Not a lot of winter tires.
Well, you got
work on the old Lambo here. So were we positive? Or
well, I tried to be, but
I know you did.
Kind of, we're not. I don't know if we.
I think it's easy to be reshuffle things that could be better. It's also easy to be like, you can't scream dysfunction for 3 months around here and expect that it's going to all disappear if they just have a summer off. Like both of those things are probably true.
How much needs to change and how much kumbaya, let's make it work, can happen. There's going to have to be an element of both.
Yeah. And I don't know that the coach is good at kumbaya. You know him better than I do, Rhett. It doesn't feel like a let's meet in the middle. It feels more like I'm this old. I've had this much success. You're going to tell me I have to change?
You know what they maybe need is a little team getaway, like a team building thing out at St. Eugene Golf Resort.
They have a ropes course, or maybe they go to the hot pools.
Well, they've got the championship golf course out at St. Eugene. They've got the casino, the spa, restaurants, mountains, that fresh air.
Let that air. I'm already feeling better.
Aren't you? That's what we.
And Rhett can go cold plunge in the river.
Yes.
That would be good. Get that circulation going.
Dopamine way up.
Slow down that aging.
Right. Look, that's the answer. Cranbrook, British Columbia. Beautiful. Get your golf game and gear with the Spring Swing Golf Package. Starting at just $259, you and a friend can enjoy a one-night stay and a round of golf, including a power cart. Spring Swing available April 21st to May 17th. The 21st, goodness, that's like
soon.
We're getting there. Don't miss out. It's a limited time offer. Book your package today. steugene.ca, as you see there is the website. And they treat you right. I am looking forward to getting out there. I've heard about the hotel and just that spot for a long time. I've never been. So I'm looking forward to getting out there. And I don't know about the cold plunge. I'm very soft.
Do you good?
You only have to muscle up for about 5 seconds.
It feels like it's going to be.
It's going to take your breath away. It's going to freak you out. And then you're out. That 10 seconds, a lot of good.
All right.
I'll
see.
But you also have to be brave.
Go in for a minute.
You're already discounting it.
Once you get over the...
Discover or rediscover a true gem. the St. Eugene Golf Resort and Casino. You realize how long we went there without a, like,
I looked up and I'm like, do we have time for the Pinder report? How did that all go?
Well, we have plenty to talk about. That's the problem, is that you can spin this story in a gajillion directions.
You're going to be able to tell our moods on the shows moving forward. Depends on whether this team is fucked or whether everything's just fine.
Yeah.
Today, Rhett's in a good mood.
Well, and you know what I had? Now we don't have time for it. It's probably for the best. It's just some numbers on just how good the Oilers have been.
Yeah, we can push that. Yeah.
I mean, maybe you've got it in the Pinder report. I don't know. I don't want to.
There's got to be tons of Oilers content. You know how much I love the Oilers.
Thunder.
Talk about war on organizations. Let's go.
Connor McDavid, one of the best.
The best.
Is that what he is?
Yeah. Village Honda in the Northwest Auto Mall and online at villagehonda.com. They're paying top dollar for your vehicle and your vehicle. And Jack, have you got a vehicle? Your vehicle too. They got $1 million to do it. Sell them your car, truck, SUV. Get a tropical cruise for $2. Find out more at villagehonda.com. And Village Honda brings you the Pinder report.
Jack, take your lady on a tropical cruise, would you?
Yeah, do it.
Get on a bike. They're just sweeping the gravel off. Get a tropical cruise.
Lots of bike lanes.
He looks like a guy that might need some SPF though. A little pasty. You
Pasty.
burn
It's
easy.
winter. That's a shot. Let the guy see some sun.
I'm just saying.
Jeez. Welcome aboard, Jack.
Good to
Really
have
hope
you,
you're getting
Jack.
along with everyone. Start with the Calgary Flames. Francis tweet. And some rumors swirling confirmed this morning. Tonight's the night. Oh! Oh!
Why
Wolf
didn't
time,
you find
baby.
that thing?
Wolf time. Yeah, remember the wolf gun you had, the sound effect gun?
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Put some effort into it. Let's go.
It's not just wolf time, Coronado time. The guy that would never leave Harvard and sign. I'm kidding. Good. We'll see what he looks like. Right-hand shot. Great year at Harvard. 2 years of college. 13th overall. A few years ago from the Flames. If you're going to have a meaningless game, at least we got a little intrigue here. And if you want to sell hope, those jars are full right there. It might be nothing, but those you want to sell hope. These guys playing tonight's not a bad thing. We'll see how they look. It's a huge step up for both of them. Neither have played in the NHL, and it's Coronado's first professional game. Should be fun. How good's Wolf been? Well, let's take a peek. In fact, look at this. This is at morning skate today. Treliving, Conroy, Coronado, Wolf. They're starting a band. Who plays the bass, Dean? Tree feels like a bassist to me.
Conroy's got to be the front man.
He's the lead,
right?
Yep.
Wolf feels like the drummer.
For sure, yeah,
He's just solid. He's got good rhythm.
Coronado, those I don't know. He's a sax. You got a horn section there.
I feel like Treliving is just kind of keeping the rhythm. I think he's just kind of the rhythm
He's
guitar,
bass
maybe.
man.
Maybe the bass.
Yeah.
We'll find out from He's got good hands. You need to have quick hands to be a friggin' have those fucking face melters going. Let's go, Coronado.
Let it sing, boys. Make some music. And there's your, oh, look at this. Eventual AHL MVP. Presumptuous. Shane.
Top 15 in the world.
We'll find out tonight what it looks like. Wolf was, if you see that and read it correctly, the fourth to last pick in the 2019 draft. That close to not being drafted. And in 100 games, 74 wins. Is that good, Rhett?
Well, by my math, it's a 740 win percentage.
It's really, really good. 7 shutouts. Goalie of the year is a rookie in a league where not rookie goalies win that award. He's won goalie of the year 3 years in a row. He's probably going to get it again. And now we're seeing maybe the favorite for AHL MVP. It's an incredible feather in the cap of Wolf and the Flames and the Wranglers, the success he's had to this point, his NHL debut tonight. Excited?
Well, and if you're an American, which you are, you must be so excited for both Coronado and Wolf.
Yeah.
Yankee Doodle dandies galore going today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Connie's just beside himself.
I mean, it's just, he's got his
Coleman.
Stars and Stripes gotch on, strutting around.
If there's ever best on best again, it might tear this team apart. I don't know if they can handle it. So that's what we look forward to tonight. If you're curious, Wolf will wear 32, Coronado 39, and Jacob Pelche is going to be back in, sporting 49.
Finally.
Yeah.
But we lost.
Finally, Pelche has come back.
And forever Flame Nick Ritchie. It's been fun, kind of. It's up the ozone.
Who had the? Because I'm trying to think if that's the lasting image of a Flame for Nick Ritchie. Brian Elliott had a bad one.
Oh, there's still that shit stain in the crease from that one.
If
fuck me,
if Daryl had played Coronado, like Richie's spot like he is tonight, would Coronado have got the shot, and would he have scored?
I like the confidence of a young guy. What's the book on Coronado? Who fucking knows what he's doing?
I'll tell you who would have scored. Matthew Phillips.
Hondo. Sadly, no Phillips.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about bringing him up.
Matthew Phillips scores that goal.
I would love to have seen it. Things got spicy last night between the Jets and the Wild. Now, divisional foes, you got to take a bit of work for these two to play in round 2, though. Let's take a peek. Rick Bowness, first-year head coach. Dean Evison, former Flame. Spicy.
Look at Dino. Is he rattled?
He looks like a cold-blooded murderer.
So did he say you have little man syndrome? Then?
You little prick.
Is that Hannibal Lecter on the right? Look at how stoic he is. He's like, I will eat your flesh. I'm not even worried. You're my dinner. And this is all resulting. He's got a little chippy with Kaprizov. So Ryan Hartman absolutely blows up Nikolai Ehlers. Nowhere near the puck. Crushes him at full speed. Ehlers leaves the game. Bowness and Evison are sizing each other up. Ryan Reeves fought Adam Lowry. This was an absolute doozy.
Good on Lowry there.
Good on Lowry is right, man.
I don't know how many guys. Like, Lowry is not I'm in the league to fight only guy. That's a massive step up to fight arguably toughest guy in the league. Certainly handful of guys in that class.
And he does well. He's tough Lowry as well. Is there any now? Didn't Reeves go out with 30 seconds left and start a fight?
That's what Bowness, I believe, was pissed about. What are you doing here? And to be fair, both these teams, this game means nothing in a week. You're in a fucking playoff series. You don't need hurt people.
What did you just do?
Doesn't really mean a lot.
But it kind of meant something to the Jets last night. They kind of wanted to
they clinched.
Qualify for the playoffs.
That's fair. It's just at this point of the season, if you're Minnesota, the one thing you don't want is an injury or suspension affecting round 1, right? When you got Dallas or Colorado or something. But either way, that was a hell of a game last night.
Yeah, those two could play again in the playoffs. Let's go.
You know who they want playing in the playoffs like he did last night was the Jets netminder, Connor Hellebuck. Did you see the save? Save of the year. I'm calling it right now.
And the Wild come in, and away he goes, empty net Minnesota. Johansson sweeps it back to the blue line. There's a shot by Spurgeon, loose in front, and Hellebuck made the save.
What?
Hellebuck got a stick on it.
Full 4x6. Watch the replay on this. It is absolutely zany that somehow this doesn't go in the net. This angle will show you a bit. Diving, the heel of his stick is the only thing on the ice. Gets the puck, no goal. Now, it was late, empty net, 3-1, makes it 3-2 maybe, but how's that not save of the year? Look at this. Whoo!
I mean, score. For sure.
And if you're the Jets, hey, Connor, you want to play that for 2 weeks? We'll play anyone. When he's on. Look out. Okay, so that win, to your point, Dino, confirms the whiteout's back. Blizzard forecast in Manitoba. There it is. I didn't realize this. Little factoid from NHL PR. The whiteout was a response to the Sea of Red in a Calgary-Winnipeg Smythe Division playoff matchup. Cool.
All right.
Unless they're liars. I mean,
yeah, I can't speak.
That's what I remember.
It is a yeah. You love Winnipeg.
Big historian as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Florida's in as well. The unthinkable happened last night. Pittsburgh lost to Chicago.
No.
They allowed 4 in the third.
Come on, Chicago.
Lost 5-2. All Pittsburgh had to do was beat Chicago and Columbus to get in. Controlled their own fate. No. Lost to Chicago. And the win for Chicago, 32nd, up to 30th.
I was going to say, and hands up if this sounds familiar, neither team wanted that result.
Just like last Tuesday when the Hawks beat the Flames in Calgary.
Like
Deja fucking vu.
What the fuck are we doing?
Don't do this.
We're going to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
And so now here's what we know. A, Pittsburgh's in trouble. They don't control their fate anymore.
They're done.
There's their new logo if you need it. Chef Boyer, we fucked. And the Islanders, who have 1 game left, only need a point against Montreal.
Montreal, come on.
Who are rolling out the Laval Rocket. Or whatever. We'll see. Yikes. Sidney Crosby, 16 years in a row. It was Mario's last season and Sid's rookie year the last time they missed the playoffs. 16 years in a row. They're down around the Hail Mary range.
Get some rest.
He's played a lot of hockey. That is fair.
Berkey will be some sour.
I would think so. I mean, Mike Sullivan, that might do it for you. It's been an incredible run. but losing to Chicago, controlling your own fate. And then, of course, yes, Rhett, the Panteros are in. Spin the trophy. The Cats are back. President's Trophy winners last year, they bowed out to what? Tampa round 2? Sweep. Sweepy.
Has a better playoff this year.
Round 2? Who'd they beat? They won a series?
Yes. I believe, who was it? Boston had played Carolina. They crossed over. Somebody else. They won. It was a wild
the first
card
series since you guys. Right? Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
If they did, then it was.
Moving on. What else do we know? Well, the Islanders, a point. That's all they need. They're in. Here's your look at the standings. There it is. You'll clinch a playoff berth, single point against the Habs.
Stupid Sabres.
Like the Horvat comments, like Bo Horvat, the goaltender's amazing. The building will be rocking. It will be nice to get 3 of those New York area teams into the postseason. But I don't know. It's still the Islanders, right? Anyway, we shall see. Eastern standings and Western standings. We'll start in the West. We know the 8 teams. Still nothing sorted in the West. There's not a single matchup we know is going to happen. Edmonton can still clinch first. Seattle's going to be, it looks like in a wild card. I don't believe they can catch LA. Vegas can still in the Pacific. Colorado is in first, but Dallas can pass them. There's a lot going on here. No, not a single thing we can talk about. East is the same. The only series we know is going to happen, the ones we've known for 4 months is going to happen. It's Toronto, Tampa, the 2-3 in the Atlantic. Everything else is up for grabs. This is wild
drama.
And almost everyone in the league, I think it's 30 of 32 teams will play tomorrow night. Pretty impressive that the last full slate of games on the schedule will determine all the matchups. Good little run here in terms of vying for seeding and playoff matchups and such. Tonight, here's your games. Lighter slate tonight as we gear up for the massive extravaganza tomorrow. East we can show as well. Sorry about that. There it is. Florida's clinched. And there's
Pinder for fuck's
so Florida's in, Rhett. They get the back in with the Pittsburgh loss. 1 game left. Islanders 1 game left. Just need a single point. Pittsburgh, T's and P's. Need a Hail Mary here. Tonight, here's what we're looking at. Habs Isles, we noted it, single point. Dallas, still vying for positioning. And we talked about Flames and Sharks, your nightcap, which will be on TNT in the States. So that'll be a little fun.
Late start.
Wranglers are in Abbotsford. They will not have Dustin Wolf tonight, as noted. He's going to start tonight for the Calgary Flames. That's the remainder of their schedule. Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. That tees them up to open a series in Calgary next week. Home ice in round 1 of the playoffs, if I'm correct. There might be some weird buys or something like that. Please don't be buys. Let's have a good little run here at the Dome. Some good playoff hockey at the Dome. Please. Please. One final non-hockey bit before we close out the Pinder report. It was the first day at the newly redesigned outfield walls at Rogers Center for the Toronto Blue Jays, and we knew Kevin Kiermaier was good at center field. But in the second inning of the first game ever at the redesigned outfield, he did this. It was pretty good. Did you watch that one last night? It was back and forth again. Kiermaier scales the wall.
The game was in the afternoon, and I'm like,
come on, Doug.
He's got to stop drinking in the afternoon.
I'm like, you donkey.
And finally, the Yankees are the Yankees. Here's the catch first. Yeah, this is good stuff. So Manoah struggling, and it's the second inning he got blown up. Could have been worse because look at this. Zip. Oh, yeah, just my second inning here. You guys going to like me? Pumped up. They would win rallying from down 3-0.
A lot of dingers.
9-3. 5 dingers. And they didn't have a lot of ding-dongs on that opening road trip. Final note, the Yankees, what do they hate, Dean? Anyone showing personality with facial hair or long hair. So let's go to the ball boy on the left half of your screen.
Yes.
The ball boy 2 days ago.
Yep.
On the right side of the screen. The ball boy
clean it up.
yesterday.
Get your shit together.
Look at this beauty. Apparently he's in a band. And he went from the hot red shoes to the Yankees dark black or navy blue, please.
Settle down, Junior.
Don't be, even the ball boy can't have fun. He does have the vote for Pedro mustache going vibes, which
does he still have the stash?
It's still allowed to have. It's blondie hair.
I'll be gone next.
The ball boy, I don't know. And it doesn't look like he cut it. It looks like he's got it tucked up under the back there.
I was going to say, I think he's tucked it.
Yeah, he's been told something, though.
Hey, listen, rock and roll.
Red shoes to blue. Yankee's going to Yankee. That's your Pinder report.
All right. Brought to you by Village Honda.
Shave those sideburns, Mattingly.
Turn your vehicle into cash during the $1 Million Buy-In event. We've been saying it for days. It continues. They'll buy yours even if you don't buy theirs. Sellers receive a tropical cruise for 2 exclusively at Village Honda, Northwest Auto Mall, online, villagehonda.com, your dealership for life. That's how that goes. You want to hear something funny?
Mm-hmm.
This is a true story. I might embellish a little bit.
I don't even eat pepperoni pizza. Ha ha!
That's right, yeah. Bing bong at the door the last 2 nights ago. So, you guys know how I feel about people ringing my damn doorbell. Yeah. If somebody's coming to the house, they've texted ahead of time. Don't just show up. What? Well, and the first thing that went through my mind, because we were talking, maybe some girl guys are selling cookies, something like that. Maybe some kids are doing a bottle drive. It's all right. Crack open the door. Sure as bleep, it's somebody trying to sell you something. Hey, we're in your neighborhood. We're doing a little for yard maintenance, for lawn care with the aeration and power rake and this and that. And so we just kind of wait, let the guy do his things. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm tired out a bit there.
Yeah. Just wondering if you're interested. Actually, we have green drop. The look on his face, it wasn't just okay. It was he just knew. It's like can't compete with that.
Can't top that.
Can't do it. Green drop,
and then bam,
then slam the door and get the and fuck off.
Oh wow, jeez. Poor guy's trying to make a buck. Tidies his resume. Maybe.
How else are you going to keep people from coming to your door?
You're going to have a list of things on your doors.
If you're thanks for coming by. No, you got to dress them right down on the way out. I'm never going back to that house again. You're goddamn right you're not.
Need that security dog and a fence at the front.
That's right. Hold bus.
Walk the plank to get in here.
Bark more. Scare them
away. Green drop. Everyone in your neighborhood should have green drop. If anybody's using one of the other ones, go knock on their door and say, you're wasting your money. Get the green drop. And you know what? More specifically, go, that barn burner thing, go and they've got a QR code on the screen. You do that thing, you're getting a discount.
And subscribe while you're at it.
Subscribe and like, and for sure follow and tell your friends. Unless you hate it, then don't say a word. Greendrop.com. The greenkeepers come by your house. They apply the micronutrients, the overseeding, whatever the lawn needs.
They know.
It's a few minutes. It's 100% guaranteed. If you aren't satisfied, they'll return and make things right. The healthy lawn is not as hard as we dummies make it out to be.
It's a tough winter here. You need some experts.
Just get green drop and then water it and cut it and let them take care of the rest. They have a number of different fertilization programs. They've got the beautiful basics. They've got the beautiful premium. Premium throws in the aeration, the overseeding, the soil booster, alongside those micronutrients and weed control and everything else. And there's some other things on there. There's other add-ons. I saw today, if you want to keep like your driveway and that, you want to keep it nice and clean and have all the weeds taken out, they do that too.
They know what they're doing.
They've got the Buzz Boss.
Get those pests out of here.
Greendrop.com. Go and see everything they have to offer. And as I said last time, it felt like it was one of those things like, that's for fancy people. No, it's for smart people. It's just
so much easier. My God.
It's just, why weren't we doing it sooner? Greendrop.com is the website. Go and do it today.
How's the show there?
Yeah, we're not done. I got to do some reads here because we ranted for.
Well, we got Betway Bets today too.
We got Betway. I got to tell you about the playoff draft coming up.
Oh yeah.
I looked because one of our things, we have the playoff draft on Friday over at the Grey Eagle, and when we were picking dates, we couldn't. Well, Thursday, there's so many games, and who knows, right?
That's many? I don't even know the seeding, the matchups. How am I supposed to pick players? I don't even know who they're playing.
Are we going to do it on a Saturday? Well, Saturday people have it's their weekend. You don't want to. How about the Friday? Well, there are 2 games. So what if? It is Buffalo at Columbus.
Don't matter.
Colorado at Nashville.
Maybe for seeding, that's it.
For seeding, that's it. So our fears have been put to bed.
Quelled.
That's right.
Quashed.
Allayed?
Sure.
Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day and the inaugural Barn burner playoff draft. Oh, baby.
I'm going to wear the most obnoxious outfit I can find. And that is going to be a high bar.
I like it. I don't really have anything.
Just a prop or two. Doesn't have to be much. Even just a single top hat would be lovely for you.
Just the top hat?
Or like one of those canes with the big
I'll go to my
cone at the top. Or
my top hat and monocle closet and grab one. So, and that's the thing for the teams. If you got your team, it's a sold out event. Get your wigs and your makeup and whatever you need. Dress up.
We got the lanyards for you. You got to do the rest.
Oh, we got your tables, the lanyards, your VIP section, everything's set up. We got a few things, kind of, some Easter eggs dropped in that will you won't know are happening until they happen. That sort of thing. Friday at the Grey Eagle it's presented by. Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
thanks, Alex.
Let it go. This is Friday, baby.
So you want me to bring that? That's what I
Hell yeah. Get that sport coat from the 80s and that short, bad winter tie.
And do the jig.
Do that dance.
Guys, I love to dance. You know that. You know that about
Now,
me.
have we got that cake made yet that Rhett's going to jump out of at the intermission? I know it was
He's getting
custom order.
Nipple piercing tomorrow afternoon.
He's waxed up today.
Ouch,
right.
I saw that
Pierced tomorrow. Ready to jump out of the cake on Friday.
I don't understand any of it. Paybuilt.com is our presenting sponsor. Thank you to Paybuilt for coming on board and being a big part of why this is a huge success for all of us, including kids sport. It's for the kids. # for the kids. Mm. It's really the main reason we did it. Someone say, you guys just want to go and get all boozed up and play,
Would never.
Blackjack. You really don't know us very well if you think that's what we were thinking.
It's Baccarat, you idiots.
Paybuilt for businesses who want to accept more payments and skip credit card fees. It's kind of small business, big bit. You're online only. It works for you. Paybuilt.com. It's not brand new. Obviously, we've been paying with cards and stuff, but we're finding there's a little bit of there is some chicanery and tomfoolery sometimes.
You look clunky sometimes,
little online payments. It could be, that didn't work the way I wanted. Well, I got some double charges. I got, what is this charge? That's why you want Paybuilt.
Disputing the charge. What are you talking about?
Just don't do it. Just don't do it. When a customer uses their debit card, there's fees. And as you say, there could be there's some unsavory people out there. They're looking to steal your bleep. Don't let them steal your bleep. That's where Paybuilt comes in. Shifting away from cards and cash, whether it's in-store, whether it's online, maybe you have an app for your business.
B2B.
More options for your customers, making your customers' lives easier. They're more inclined to purchase. That is what it's all about. It's about safety and saving money and all of that. Paybuilt.com is where you need to go and learn more about what Paybuilt has to offer. It just makes sense, Pinder. It just makes sense.
De-risk your life, Dean. Let's go.
That's right. It's all I do. Just try and strip away risk at all.
Cane.
At all turns.
Monocle.
Yeah.
Top hat.
I don't have any of that.
Bow tie. Tap dancing shoes.
I guess I gotta be. Are you gonna do anything?
Gotta do something.
Probably should do something.
After he jumps out of the cake, he's got that social anxiety thing. He's gonna have to get a couple stiff rides into him, and then he'll settle in.
Get in the cake too.
That's right. Delicious.
Yeah, it's claustrophobic in there, so it's going to be a puddle by the time this thing's done. We've already got, I believe, the first 4 picks. Teams are.
Yeah, that was if there was a kind of a fundraising challenge put on by Kids Sport to see who was going to draft. Now it's it's a snake draft, so you do one of these to the bottom and then back up, so that. You want to pick first, you can pick first, but then you got to wait for a while.
You'll pick 32nd in your second round.
You're going to have to wait
first,
which is how I got screwed in our football draft this year, especially when your first round pick has a shit year. Jonathan Taylor, you prick.
Me as the commissioner, when I get to pick first, it's rigged. And then when Dean does, I was screwed by the first overall pick. Well, Jonathan Taylor did fuck you.
One of those picks too.
It's
poor bastard.
Was there anyone who? That's the other thing you listen to. You read. Really, no one screwed more teams this year than Jonathan Taylor.
JT.
He missed a month, and I got it.
There you'll be better than that. You don't have a team to worry about here. You just be cheering for a fun time.
Just shotgunning beers for the kids in support of Kids Sport. Okay, Betway Bets of the day. We can do Betway Bets of the day, and then we'll.
How jinxy are your pants? I suppose the question is.
No jinxy pants.
Okay.
I'm nothing but good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to do Betway?
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right. You just do the Betway Bets of the day.
That's Flames and Sharks night. You got to go there, right?
No, I don't need to do any of that.
So you're not going to jinxie pass. You are sticking true.
Just a smidge.
Yeah,
I went into the Betway app on my phone, my mobile phone, and they have some of the pre-builts. EK 65, is that what?
Well done. Nailed it.
What he is.
Yeah.
Eric Carlson, Tyler Toffoli to each get a point plus 105.
TT 73?
TT 73 and KK Majig 105. And Suzuki and Ben. 2 shots or more each.
Shots.
And both have had 2 or more in 4 or 5 straight games.
As long as that's not
it's not Jordy.
Jordy, yeah.
It's not
which Suzuki?
Yeah. Who was the guy on TV? Which Suzuki? Nature of Things. David Suzuki?
Yeah, David's not getting 2 shots.
No. Plus 130 for Suzuki and Ben.
All right. Am I going to be a dick if I do this? Now, I'm not going to go
whether you do it or not.
That's true, and that's a fair point. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but I did look at what a shutout would be for the Calgary Flames tonight. The storybook career of Dustin Wolf makes its first NHL appearance tonight. I'm going to take the under on 2.5 for San Jose. Play well in front of him, gents. Backlund's 1 away from 20. Anytime goal, plus 187.
You really wimped out. Like I thought.
Couldn't find the shutout.
Sure.
Couldn't find the shutout.
It would be a Wolf for Coronado.
That's the best I could do. And look, there's lots of bets out there but this one, it feels safe. 2 in your debut, we'll call it a win.
There you go. That's the Betway bets of the day. Get that Betway app. Put it on your phone. Odds are subject to change. You see it there.
That's right. They are, yeah.
So when you go in and looking for that Backlund anytime goal, maybe people see this and they're racing to the app, and all of a sudden it's like, we can't continue to give that kind of value for a Backlund goal. We got to...
Yeah, or there's a horrible injury and skate for the Sharks and Brent Cron's in net for the Sharks. And you're like, well, we got to change the over number here. Christ, we can't be living with this.
Take it down because clearly Cron is going to stand on his head.
Oh, you were thinking that way. Okay.
That's what other way would we possibly?
Big goalie.
That's only one period. Small sample.
That's right. Bigger goalies take up more room. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
About an hour ago. Smarten up, Pinder. That's it for the show. Final game of 82 tonight for the Flames. We will react to this match, Sharks and Flames, with everything on the line in game 82.
And
can't wait.
Get set for a marathon afterburner.
Oh, yeah.
Because Kerr's working today.
Is he? That's right.
I don't know who he's got. He doesn't even need anyone.
He doesn't need anybody.
That mofo will go 2 hours if he wants.
Now, speaking of Rob Kerr, just a game.
Yep.
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Today on the show, Billy Jaffe.
Nice.
Veteran broadcaster. I believe he's still doing Nesson broadcast, still in Boston. And
what a season.
Marco Carducci.
Yes.
Hey, Marco Carducci, come on.
The brick wall.
Just a game today on FlamesNation YouTube.
Big shout out to Carducci. Testicular cancer, beat that last offseason, came back, was phenomenal again, and open to talk about it to help raise awareness for men's health issues. Good on him.
And I know that'll be part of the discussion today,
of course,
Rob, for sure. That's a little barn burner for you today, everybody. Thanks for being a part of it. Support the sponsors. Follow, like, subscribe. See you tomorrow.
Right.
Buddies.
Oilers suck.
See you, buddies.